What's up, and War Eagle War Report family? It's your guy Ike Jones. We are here with another weekend tailgate brought to you by show sponsor Golden's Cast Iron. Auburn takes down Vanderbilt on the road / at home. Anyway, we'll talk about it right here on the latest edition of the weekend tailgate.
This is the weekend tailgate, brought to you by Golden's Cast Iron. C-Dub, Ike Jones, Be Will, Mike G. You are now listening to
The weekend tailgate brought to you by show sponsor Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, Golden's Cast Iron's got a little something for you. Make sure you hit them up, man. When you do, use the link goldenscastiron.com/WR and code get your weight up, get you 15% off of weights. Code TWR gets you $65 off of fire pits and Kamado grills. We are already utilizing that fire pit to its best ability with our fireside chats. Mike's got the grill at the crib for his pops. You know what I'm saying? We got the weights out there kicking off. I ain't lifting no weights, but Golden's Cast Iron still got y'all covered, man. More news coming on the fireside stuff, man. We got some firesides coming for you guys that are already in the tank. We just got to get them out to you, so be on the lookout for that. On a skeleton crew today, but we might be joined by some people later on. If you are out here and you want to get involved in the conversation or get other people involved, make sure you share the video at the War Report. Use hashtag Get Your Weight Up when you're out there on social media. Go ahead and give us a thumbs up on the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We appreciate that. If you want to be able to get involved in other ways, you can definitely do that. Mike G is here to tell you how to do it.
Hey, guys, become a patron, support our channel. We call these micro sponsorships. So if you want to get involved with the War Report at a deeper level, become a patron, help support the work that we're doing. Ike mentioned the firesides, guys. Your support helps us keep that content going. It's original content. Nobody else is doing content like this, so we appreciate the support of every single person who signs up for a patron membership. Now, you can also give the gift of the War Report by hitting that gifted membership button on YouTube, on your phone, or on your desktop. Hit that gifted membership button. YouTube chooses these at random for people who interact with our channel at a high level, but haven't made the decision to become a patron member just yet. So we appreciate people who do this. This has been going great. This is such a great program that YouTube has implemented, helping to support creators such as ourselves. Guys, every live stream, we're giving away something. Hashtag Get Your Weight Up in the comments. This is brought to you by GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. We're giving away a mug today. Hashtag Get Your Weight Up. Make sure you spell that right. Note the spelling. And we're going to pull at the 1 hour mark. Also, this live stream is brought to you by Lynch Toyota of Auburn. Lynch is the area's premier Toyota dealership, serving the Auburn area for over 20 years. Not only can you shop new Toyota vehicles like the popular Camry, Tacoma, and RAV4, but you also find great deals on a huge selection of certified pre-owned vehicles. To buy, sell, trade, or service your vehicle, make sure you shop Lynch Toyota of Auburn for the best customer experience. Get started now at lynchtoyotaofauburn.com. They've been great sponsors this fall, Ike. We appreciate them for supporting our work.
Absolutely appreciate it. Mike, you were on the post game for a little bit.
Yes.
Got an opportunity to talk a little bit about that. I was not on post game. I was at the game. But before I get into my soliloquy about all things Vanderbilt, do you have any additional thoughts now that you've had the benefit of some time to go and reflect about the game?
Yes, Auburn had to win this one, obviously. I said that all week. This was a game they could not afford to lose. Vanderbilt is bad. I tweeted it out. I said on the show they were bad. They showed themselves to be bad. But what you do with bad teams is you dominate them. And defensively, Auburn did that. Only 8 points allowed on defense is for any Power 5 team is nuts. One score the whole game. Great job by Ron Roberts and his crew.
And let's be clear, that one score actually came against the backup defensive unit. Like, I don't know how many people realize, but we had subbed our backups in for that drive. And then they put them back, put the starters back in there. It's like, all right, enough of that. That drive didn't look right. But
yeah, Underscoring what Hugh Freeze has said about the defense, good but not deep, right? So, the pick at the end, I think it was Nehemiah Pritchett got the pick. Just continues the turnover streak for Auburn. That group has continuously found ways to keep Auburn in games and help them win, a lot of the 5 games that they've won. So, cool shout out to that group. Offensively, they did what they needed to do, and it was about what I expected. Somewhere in the 30s. I have predicted 35 points. They scored 31. This game, again, offensively and defensively, went about how I expected. What I was happy to see, the division of snaps between run and pass a little closer to what I thought this season would be. And it's taken them, I guess maybe the opponents have dictated it. I plan to ask you, Freeze, in an upcoming presser. But 27 throws, pass attempts to 37 runs. Jarquez Hunter had a huge day, man. You got to be happy for that kid, given the way the season started. He was supposed to be a top 5 back in the SEC this year and has suffered from the overall offensive struggles, in my opinion. Now, some of it may be on him, but, he missed the first game of the season, and then no flow to the offense, running or passing certainly has hurt him. So to see him bust out, man, if not for the hold at the end, would have eclipsed 200 yards running on the day. That was fun to watch. He was an absolute pleasure to watch run the ball on Saturday. So kudos to them. Look, a win is a win. And at this point, I think that you can't really look at it any other way. It's the end of the season. You're not playing for the West, not playing for a conference title, and you all but solidified a bowl game with this win because you got New Mexico State left on the schedule, a game that you absolutely should be favored to win by 150%. So, congrats to those kids, man, on the win on the road at Vanderbilt. You were there. I'm sure you'll share your thoughts.
Yeah.
All right. Is the guy in the scissor lift okay?
No issues with scissor lift video guys out there. All right. So let me start with the things I want to say about our team before I get into my experience. Great win for the guys. Sloppy at points, but great win. It's a win that you're supposed to have. This is a team in Vanderbilt that had given other teams problems, right? Like, they are always playing the underdog role. They're always going to go out there and try to give you their best shot. They came out early, first drive, and it was looking like, okay, here we go. But then missed field goal. Auburn gets the ball back 2 plays later, score. And I was like, all right, we're about to get into this for real. Another drive, another score, 14-0. And I'm like, oh, man, we might just mop them this entire game. This is going to be silly. Got into some sticky points there in the middle of the game, came back out after the halftime. We got a field goal. And again, offensive onslaught. Very proud of what I saw from the team overall. Now, there were some issues, and we'll get into grades later on in the show. But absolutely great win for Auburn. I don't care who the opponent is. You want to be able to see. Now we got to talk about the construction zone. Whatever just happened to Mike G means I got to get into the construction zone conversation.
My dog is a menace.
Yeah. There's no dogs to blame for the construction zone that happened at Vanderbilt that we're going to talk about. But listen, man, absolutely great win. I love, because here's the thing. Auburn had not, I've been saying this leading up to the game. I need to see Auburn play well on the road. I don't care who the opponent is. I need to see us play well on the road. And they went and handled business on the road. Kinda.
Okay.
The reason why I say kinda is not because of the performance, but because of the turnout from the crowd of Auburn faithful. It was literally, it felt more than 50% of the crowd was Auburn folks. Like, they already divide the stadium pretty much half and half, where there's a home side and a visit. It's very high school, but a home side and a visitor side. But even on the visitor side, there was a large contingent of Auburn fans over there. Auburn fans showed up and basically turned this game into a quasi-home environment. When I say the way that Vanderbilt, before I get into the things that are extremely weird about that whole situation, the way that Vanderbilt has their press box set up, which is wonderful. We're actually on the 50-yard line.
Okay.
Like, we can see it from the side view, but they have the things where you can open up the windows and actually hear the actual crowd noise, right? When something good would happen for Auburn, it would be a bigger cheer than good things happening for Vanderbilt. It was absolutely a takeover of that stadium. First Bank Stadium is now Jordan-Hare North or something, because they absolutely took over that stadium, and it was wonderful to see. All right. Again, we'll get into the specifics of breakdowns of grades, but now I have to talk about this stadium. You guys remember when I talked about how ridiculous the Vanderbilt basketball arena was? Yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
This stadium experience rivaled it. It just did. It was.
Man.
So first and foremost, I think I understand the overall plan of what they're attempting to do here with their athletics area on campus. But to get into their football stadium, we had to enter through the basketball arena and then come back out into the back entrance to get into the stadium. It was the most ridiculous thing in the world. So you walk through and you go around down this. Oh my God, I don't have it upstairs. At some point in time, I'm going to tweet out a picture potentially. I don't know if I'm gonna do this for real, but there's a handout that they gave us once we finally made it to the press box. If you guys are on Instagram, I did a little Instagram story of me. We had to walk through the back entrance in the basketball arena, cross over the field, like literally walk across the field, and then go into this little back area up a elevator to get up to the press box, right? Ridiculous just to start with, just to get there. But what I was going to say is they gave instructions of how we would get to the post-game press conference. And I kid you not, if you are a gamer, this felt like I was on a quest for a game. It was like, go take the secret tunnel to the such and such, and then you unlock the pathway to get. It wasn't that extreme, but it was so ridiculous, the level of things we had to do to get to this construction trailer that was out behind the stadium for us to be able to do the post-game press conference. I did tweet out a picture of where we were doing the post-game press conference. They had, this is not me making jokes. It literally was a construction trailer. Like they had the work vests, the hard hats, all of that. It was crazy. We were doing the player interviews afterwards in the parking lot, essentially in folding chairs, just sitting out in the parking lot.
Wow.
It was crazy, man. Like, I was just like, yo, the city of Nashville should do better for y'all, man. Like, let y'all use the Titan Stadium or something, bro. Like, you can't tell me they don't have a better solution than having people come into this construction zone. Like, it was absolutely nuts. Weirdest experience I've ever had covering a football game. I will say they had a nice spread for us to eat. So they still are doing okay on the food, but good Lord, man. And it's not really Vanderbilt's fault. They got to deal with what they got to deal with. But I don't know, man. They got to figure something like, and it doesn't look like it's progressed at all. It's like during the week when they don't have games, they're just not working at all. They're like, season started now. We don't anymore. I don't know, man. Like the guy up there on the scissor lift shooting the daggone end zone view of the stuff. I was just like, yo, what are we doing out here, man?
Yeah, it's very, very old school. That's very old school. Auburn, obviously, won the game. From your vantage point, being at the game, what did it look like on the field in real time in terms of offensive flow? Like,
yeah, I mean, so it got muddy for a minute, right? Like it seemed as if, and I almost tweeted this during the game, it seems as if either Jarquez Hunter was going to break a run for 40 plus, or he was going to get stopped behind the line of scrimmage. Like it was very Jekyll and Hyde as far as our ability to be able to block the run. But Vandy did what you would expect teams to do, and I expect Arkansas to do it again next week, which is they got busted in the run, and so they just started run blitzing like every single play. It was just like, we're going to send additional guys downhill versus the run consistent. This is the same thing Coach Freeze talked about last week of why it was harder for the offense to move in the second half versus Mississippi State. Mississippi State was just like, all right, we're just going to sell out against the run. Y'all going to have to figure out how to throw the ball. Now, the good thing is Peyton Thorne was actually standing in there and delivering, but receivers weren't taking advantage of those opportunities. I think we had 5 or 6 drops in that game, and all of them, the deep shot to VAR and the deep shot to Cam Brown, not to VAR, to Amari.
Amari Kelly, yeah.
To Amari and the deep shot to Cam Brown are one of those depends on how you view it type of situations as to whether or not it was, difficult catch. I think both of those were very catchable passes though, and should have been caught. I think Cam Brown misjudged his, and Amari, I think I don't know what happened on here because his was a dime like that.
Yeah. I mean, it was more than catchable. I mean, it was as easy as a catch as you'll get at this level.
Hey, I mean, he should have been at the house. He should have just caught that one and kept running on to the house. But yeah, and then the couple drops that VAR had were weird because there's really no excuse for it. There wasn't even like momentum things. It was just like if the Valdo drops were weird. Like I was just like, yo, what are we doing out here? So it was very mixed because they had the right answers for the blitzes that were coming, but then we still didn't do what we needed to do on the other end of that. So I think Peyton Thorne, man, his adjusted completion percentage is somewhere in 80-something% for that game. But then you get the ridiculous interception that he throws, right? Like he did all of these great things and then he throws an interception where you're like, what was that?
Yeah.
So it was very weird. It was a very weird game where Auburn dominated, but then they kept doing stuff to keep Vandy in the game at the same time. Like they gave Vanderbilt every opportunity they could to come back in the game, but Vanderbilt, as you said, bad team. So they couldn't take advantage of the multiple opportunities we gave them to be able to claw their way back into that game.
Pro Football Focus record and listen, they are very strict on what they define as a drop. So when they say you have a bunch of drops, you had a bunch of drops because they factor in a lot of things. And they had 5 drops on the day for Auburn receivers. Why that's significant is, I mean, instead of going 17 for 27, then you have, a quarterback that's going 22 for 27 if you make those. And that's, that jumps you from, like you said, 62% to like 80%. It would have been as adjusted. So this was this was the first game where I really thought receivers had a bad day. Because of the type of drops, they were wide open plays, and regardless, they threw the ball more in this game than they have in just about any other Power 5 game they played this season with 27 attempts. They have not thrown the ball at a high clip. So there haven't been a ton of opportunities, but over the last 2 games, there have been opportunities here for the receivers to make plays because they tried to throw the ball. So being north of 25 attempts, we talked about this, earlier in the week. We talked about it at the pregame. Being able to throw the ball at a certain volume with a career 62-something% completion percentage quarterback means you've got to get the yards and volume with Peyton Thorne and then accept the mistakes that will come with that. So the pick 6 is unfortunate, right? Yeah. But if he's for what he did for the rest of the game, even though you absolutely cannot throw that ball, I mean, it was that ball had no zip on it. A throw to the flat, like with no, you know what I mean? Across the field, no power. I mean, it was pick 6. It was a pick 6 type of ball you dream about terrible. If you're a DB. If you're a DB,
it was terrible.
You hope a quarterback throws a ball like that at least once in your career. And that particular DB took advantage of it. But for the rest of the game, what he did for the rest of the game, I think you're willing to accept the mistakes if he throws a couple more touchdown passes. I mean, and so we're clear, man, this game really was about Jarquez Hunter.
Right? Yeah, I mean, he was definitely the story of the game.
183 yards on the ground, 2 TDs.
Shout out to the offensive line, man. The offensive line, they executed, and when he got to the second level, it was
difference.
He, you know what? Connor Lew has definitely. Here's where I hesitate to say he's making a difference. Okay. We aren't playing the elite teams defensively. Mississippi State's got a good defense, but he's doing what he's supposed to do, right? He's not playing like a freshman. I will say that for sure. He's not making a ton of mistakes in snap. The thing I think, and people we can debate this. The thing I think that he's done better than Avery Jones is not having the snap infraction stuff, not having the penalties, right? He's staying mostly mistake free. But he is doing what he's supposed to be doing out there, and he's not hurting the team in any way on the opportunities that we have out there. But he's not been flawless, right? Like, again, it's been feast or famine, right? Like, it's either really well executed or it's really poorly executed. So some of that stuff comes down to the experience of Connor Lew. But I love the prospects of Connor Lew in the future for this offense. He's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, a lot of people have noted since he has taken over there that it seems like there's an improvement on that offensive line, especially in the way that they're run blocking. So, if you're Hugh Freeze, maybe again you've got your guy of the future
for sure. Yeah,
possibly.
There's no doubt in my mind. If we're talking about projecting forward to the future, there's no need to go to the portal for center. You're good, right?
Right. Yeah. So it's to me, it's been one of those things where I'm looking at it and you find some pieces. So Pro Football Focus had Connor Lew graded out as the second best offensive lineman on Saturday. Cameron Stutz graded out in front of him at a 72.9. Lew came in second at a 71.4. I don't know how to say this without just saying it, but the tight ends have not done a good job blocking.
Oh no! I mean, I don't think there's a debate about whether our tight end blocking has been.
It's not very good. Receiver blocking has been bad.
Everything on the exterior, and this is something I've talked about on Watch the Film sessions. Like, the way you typically get the long runs is when you have good exterior blocking or good downfield blocking. The benefit that we have had is that Mississippi State and now Vanderbilt have decided they're going to commit so many guys close to the line of scrimmage that if we get the blocking done up front right, there's nobody left back there. Like, all he has to do is execute the first level block, and he's just got to make one guy miss or break a tackle, and he's off to the races. Nobody's playing a straight up anymore. They're just like, all right, cool. We're just going to send everybody we can in there into the middle. And if they miss, it's over. There's nobody left. There's no deep safety help. There's no DBs to the backside. There's none of that. So that's why you've seen those long runs. They've committed so many guys close to the line of scrimmage that it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it has got to be, I think, one of those things where you lean on Jarquez Hunter, moving toward the end of the season here. I think, because you just got to win at this point. And build some belief headed into the Iron Bowl, that you can win that game. And I think that's what they need to accomplish in the next two games. Find a way to beat Arkansas. You get to New Mexico State, you have another cupcake. But what I've seen so far through these games that Auburn has played is that in all honesty, I don't know if Auburn's starting quarterback for next year is currently on this roster.
I mean, it'd be difficult to envision a scenario where two, if not all three of these guys aren't even on the roster anyway. So you'd be leaning on a redshirt freshman if you're talking about someone currently on the roster to be able to come in and start. And I haven't heard any reports out of anywhere that say, man, this kid Hank Brown looks like the future. I mean, he's playing scout team for the most part right now. So I don't know how to project forward what he could potentially be based upon him not really getting any opportunities in practice to show anything.
Right. So, it has to show some proof of concept of what you're trying to do from now toward the end of the season. Hugh Freeze's offense, Ole Miss, they average like 450 pass attempts a season there. Auburn is tracking for 290 pass attempts this year. So, even at Liberty with Malik Willis at quarterback, they were well north of 300 pass attempts with a quarterback who was a dynamic runner. So to come in under that, I think says that you're clearly not running the type of offense that you have run your entire career. Right. And you haven't shown that so far this season. So, like, what point? You only have a few more games to show it. To get it on tape, and four if we count the bowl game, because this team will make a bowl game. Who that bowl game will be against, a lot of people were saying that it might Auburn versus UCF.
I don't.
I don't know if UCF is going to make a bowl game, Mike.
I haven't been paying attention. Listen. When I say, and I mean this, and people thought I was just being petty about Bo Nix, I wish all the best of luck to anybody who used to be at Auburn, and I want them to do well. I
Mhm.
do not keep up with people once they stop wearing orange and blue. I just don't. Like,
That's fair enough. But right now they're 4-5, and their last 3 games are Oklahoma State. They just took down Oklahoma,
that's tough.
Texas Tech, and Houston. So they've got to
That's
win
3 tough games.
They've got to win 2 out of the next 3 to
That's
win a
3
bowl
tough
game.
games. Wow.
Yeah. So if you were hoping for the Auburn versus UCF matchup, you better start doing a rain dance for Gus Malzahn, because I don't know if that's happening. Okay. So again, you were at the game. You were in the post game. Hugh Freeze had said earlier this season that he wanted to take more time to soak in the wins. I'm paraphrasing him. After the wins, and they're so hard to come by at this level. What was his mood in the post game? Was it upbeat? Was it a win as a win? Was it, obviously we have some things to clean up? Like, what was his post game mood like?
I mean, it was definitely, hey, we did some good things, but we have some things that we need to get better with, right? Like, he wasn't happy with the drops that we had. He wasn't happy with the penalties that we had. He realized they left a bunch of points out there, right? And so when you're in a position where you feel good because you did a lot of good things, but you see so many like obviously fixable and egregious things that are out there as well, it's kind of mixed. It's one of those things where it's like, hey, we could have done better. But this is probably, in my opinion, one of the better outcomes that Auburn could have had for this game. And this is why. You go out there and you get a convincing win that was never really in doubt, but you still have coachable moments that you can go back to guys and say, see, if we improve this and this and this and this, see how much better a team we are, right? Like, you don't do so well that you allow the players to rest on their laurels, but you do well enough to handle business and you don't feel bad about your dub, right? Like, you go to Cal and you feel good that you got the win, but you don't feel good about that win. You feel satisfied that you won, but you don't feel satisfied with anything really that happened in that game. You go to Vanderbilt and you feel good about the win because we won handily, but you have enough coachable moments that allow you to still coach guys hard going into a hostile environment in Arkansas.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting, I think, to see what they do here with the offense moving forward. Again, Payton Thorne, it appears to me, he's your starting quarterback going through the end of the season. So the Robbie Ashford versus Payton Thorne debate for the rest of this season, in my mind, is over.
Yeah, I mean,
I
don't know that there was ever really the debate. Well, let me speak for the War Report. The debate internally here was, if you're going to call the game plan in this way,
correct,
you're not using the correct quarterback for that game plan. The debate externally was something way different, and I'm not speaking on what anybody else has. Now that they've pivoted in the direction of, we're going to run our up-tempo offense, we're going to throw the ball more, I think you ride with the guy that you brought in to do that. There's literally no this is how we thought the offense was going to look from the beginning, which is why, if you listen to everything we said preseason, Payton Thorne was going to be the starter. This validates that, because you're playing football the way that it fits what Payton Thorne is able to do.
Right. Obviously, the emphasis on passing the ball more, running tempo in key scenarios. They went fast on in the middle of a couple of drives yesterday, and it worked out for them. But one of the things that I didn't see, because they were scoring from so far out, red zone offense. We didn't get to see them run a lot of red zone offense yesterday because Jarquez was running it in from 40 yards out or whatever. Did they build on anything? Did they build enough momentum going into Arkansas to go on the road at Arkansas? And how do you see them stacking up versus, a defense that held Mississippi State to 3 points? Well, no, 7 points, because they lost. They only scored 3. But, this is true. We know T. Will well.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't know. Arkansas is a completely different animal than what you just got in Nashville, right? Like, Fayetteville's going to be a different environment. I'd feel honestly a lot better about that Arkansas game had Arkansas not pulled out their victory versus Florida. because I think that team coming off of a bye is going to feel some sort of renewed energy around it, and then they get the win, so they feel a little bit better. But this game for me, and we'll definitely get into Arkansas a lot more, it's going to come more so down to if Auburn's going to play. I don't think Arkansas is going to be the thing. Auburn's going to have to not beat themselves versus Arkansas, because Arkansas is basically Florida should have won that game. One of the few games I watched, and we'll get into that when I say what did we see. Florida should have won that football game. So Auburn's just going to have to not beat themselves.
All right. Well, look, I was happy that you got to go up there and cover that for us in Nashville. So we appreciate you doing that work there. To me, it was just, we're at the end of the season, and you're trying to find things to be positive about what this team is doing, while also facing the realities that you may not see significant change in the makeup of this team or the approach to the offense. They didn't really. Would you agree they didn't really do anything differently offensively?
No. There was
this is the same offense, right?
There was no novel changes to this offense. I mean, there hasn't been. It's just been, I think, better decisions from the quarterback about run versus throw, and then different approaches defensively. But no, Auburn's been playing the same offense all year. It's just different concentration on we're going to throw the ball a little bit more. And Peyton Thorne's actually letting it go. Guys are open and he's throwing the freaking football. That's a big step in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're about to get to the ad break, guys. Share this video. Use @TheWarReport and hashtag Get Your Weight Up. If you're watching this, please hit like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. This helps us in the algorithm to get going, so more people find our content and we can continue to grow the War Report community. Let's pay some bills, and we'll be right back.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. When you work out, grill out, and chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com. auburnsports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn sports, head over to auburnsports.com. And our giveaway sponsor, GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. If you want the best in the business at restaurant logistics, head over to gwt2energy.com.
Well, I thank everybody for joining the weekend tailgate with myself, Ike Jones, and we've got B. Will joining us here shortly. But until then, become a patron. This is a way to support our channel at a very, very, very important level. It helps keep the content that we're doing going. If you like the Fireside with the War Report and all the in-person coverage that we're giving you, Ike is traveling. We're at every single game in Auburn covering practices. This is a great way to continue to support that work. The more we can get people to sign up for this, the more we can expand our content. You can also help us by giving a gift of the War Report. Hit that gifted membership button, whether you're on mobile or desktop, and help somebody else enjoy the gift of the War Report. Check your email, people. YouTube will email you at random to tell you if you are the recipient of a gifted membership. As always, we're giving away a mug. Hashtag Get Your Weight Up in the comments. This is brought to you by GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. We appreciate them for doing these sponsorships. Giving away stuff is one of the favorite things we do here at the War Report. At the hour mark, we will draw, but you got to be here to win. So hashtag Get Your Weight Up. Make sure you spell that right so you can get your mug if you win. Shout out to the War Report Podcast Network, the Auburn Express, the Up-Tempo Podcast, College Loop, and Just a Sec, bringing you guys audio-only content every week so you can enjoy your commute to work with a little flavor of the War Report. Shout out to the Up-Tempo and College Loop guys, man. They've been putting out great content and continuing to bring you guys different perspectives. Subscribe on whatever you listen to podcasts on, whether it's Apple or Spotify. We're everywhere, so we appreciate you guys for doing that. And last but certainly not least, this broadcast is brought to you in part by Manscaped. Manscaped Lawnmower 5.0. They've launched this. It's amazing. We all use it. It's pretty great. Every man knows how scary it can get when going for a close shave below the waist. That's why I trust Manscaped for all my sensitive areas. I'm lucky to be one of the first to try the new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. And to say it's a game changer is an understatement. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code RAPPORT at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with code RAPPORT at manscaped.com. Your balls have been through enough, guys. It's time to go ultra with Manscaped. Joining us is B. Will. He's got a Manscaped head. Right up here. He Manscaped that, right? They make stuff for that.
Shaving, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. They Manscaped. I think privates. It's weird because it's anyway.
Well, thanks for joining us, B. Will.
What's up?
We're talking about the game. You were on the post game.
Mhm.
Let's move on to how we grade this performance by Auburn yesterday. So, look, Hugh Freeze got the win. He got his 5th win in the SEC. He's on his way to 6th. This was Vanderbilt on the road. Ike noted earlier that it was practically a home game for Auburn. Auburn packed out the stadium. There was orange and blue everywhere. We watched it on TV. Let's start with the defense. They gave up 8 points. That's it. 8 points was all the defense gave up. How do we grade the defense in this one?
This got to be an A to A minus, and the only reason I say that is because the A plus is the defense is scoring your points. That's the only way it can get better than that. A shutout and you score points is an A plus. An A would be pretty much what our defense did. I'm going to say A minus just because we didn't get the shutout and they didn't score points, but this is no lower than an A minus. I like what the defense did yesterday.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is an A minus defensive performance. They made Vandy earn all of it. Right. The only thing that the defense made Vandy earn all of it. The offense gifted them, a touchdown, but they made Vandy earn all of it. And again, the only score that happened was against the backups when they came into the game. So listen, this is probably one of the more complete defensive performances that we've seen all season. And again, I don't really care what the opponent is. You still have to go out there and
dominate them.
Yeah, because Vandy wasn't just going to give you the game, right? Like they're going to come out there and they're going to try to do. Listen, Will Shepherd is an amazing athlete. Like he made a couple of catches, one contested, one-handed catch there on the first drive where you're just like, oh Lord, is he finna have one of those days? And the defense was like, nah, we're done. No more of that. I don't even know how many 3-and-outs happened, but it was quite often that Vanderbilt got the football and was punting it right back to Auburn. Defense did their job consistently. Not a lot of crazy, long, explosive plays happening for Vanderbilt's offense. Again, except for when the backups were in there, you saw a few more explosives happening. Auburn handled business. I'll give them an A minus.
Yeah, I'm going to go with an A minus too. They continue the turnover streak. You held a Power 5 opponent to 1 score in their house. A minus for me. The only thing that would have made it an A plus, I think, would have been another turnover. In my book, this was not a good Vandy team, but to Ike's point, you still have to go out there and you have to stop them. You physically have to play the game and execute. So I agree with you on that one. Let's move on here to the special teams. I think that McPherson, did he kick 3 in this one?
How many field goals did he get?
Yeah.
2, right? I mean, we had 31 points minus 6 puts you at
2. Yeah, I think you're right.
I don't know.
Yeah, but what do we special teams at this one? Keontae Scott was back at punt return.
Yes, he was. And you can see the difference when Keontae is back there.
Yes, Keontae Scott returned at punt returner. So obviously he's feeling good and healthy. What do you guys think about the special teams?
For me, special teams is going to be a B plus. And I know that everybody's like, B plus, why are you being so hard on them? First kickoff, the very first one went out of bounds.
Yeah.
Brian Battie finally was able to get loose. Holding call. We had 2 opportunities on a muff punt. Now, I still think that Simpson was not in the halo, but that's fine.
Yeah.
The second one, it seemed like sat on the ground forever, and we didn't recover it.
Yeah. I hear you on that one. And the guy who recovered it came from like 10 or 15 yards away.
I was like, what in the world? I mean, listen, you got the tipped punt, right? So you did good on that one. McPherson still doing a great job of kicking all of his field goals the way that he's supposed to. They had one punt where the coverage was a little and he got loose a little bit. The one time we kicked it short of the end zone again, good return. So we've got to do better on our kick coverage. B+. It's a B+. I'm tempted to go solid B, but we did enough positive things, I think, to overcome that and give it up to a B+, man. But the stuff that we didn't do well was pretty bad.
Weird Sunday when I'm agreeing with Ike this much. B+ sounds good to me. I cannot agree more about the muffed recovery. And like it was just, oh man, you could have blown the game wide open. Completely wide open right there. And there were like 3 or 4 guys around it.
It was so ridiculous. Like when the ball hit the ground, I was like, oh, easy. We're going to recover this.
Easy. Yeah.
And it was like
some dude comes from like that 30 and like recovered it.
Wait.
Yeah. I'm going B+. B, what do you think here?
Yeah, same thing, B+ for all the reasons y'all already said. Unfortunate we can't get on the positive side of some of those bounces, you know what I mean? But we still held it down.
Good. All right. The moment you've all been waiting for, offense. How do we grade what Auburn did offensively versus Vanderbilt? They broke 30 points for the first time in Power 5 play. Let me read some stats here just before you guys make the grade. So Peyton Thorne threw the ball 27 times. He completed 17 of those passes for a total of 194 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. That 1 interception was returned for touchdown by Vanderbilt's defense. Jarquez Hunter had 19 carries for 138 yards and 2 TDs, a 9.6 yard per carry average, and a long of 67 yards. That was Auburn's longest offensive play of the season. To note, Rivaldo Fairweather had 62 yards on 2 catches. Javaris Johnson had 62 yards on 3 catches. Camden Brown had 25 yards on 3 catches, and Jay Fair had 18 yards on 3 catches. In this one, guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different people caught a pass in this game from Peyton Thorne. So they spread the ball around a little bit, and that includes 2 running backs, essentially. The rest were tight ends and receivers. What do we think here, man? What is this? I
think that's the right way to ask that question.
Yeah. What is this? Right, over 400 yards of total offense.
Yeah, I won't go first this time.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a B. Minus.
Why you stuck that minus in here real quick?
The pick 6 was as bad as a play as a quarterback can make.
Yeah.
A complete flat throw across the field in a dream position for a DB to be able to jump that ball and take it into the end zone. In a closer game, you can't do that against a better opponent. You just can't do that. Those are points you cannot afford to give away because you can't go back and make those points up. Offensively, Auburn is not built to do that against, an average opponent. And so we're clear Vanderbilt was a below average opponent. So that's what brings this down to a B- for me, is literally the pick 6 and the drops. Jarquez Hunter obviously had a fantastic day, right? Like, I mean, I'm happy for that young man. But outside of him and Peyton Thorne, right, like the other running backs didn't really have an impact on this game. I still think the running game's an A. They decided to ride Jarquez, and it worked. So it's hard to complain about that. But this, to me, that pick 6 was the most egregious throw Peyton Thorne has made this season. And I will say that the drops by the receivers were the most egregious that I've seen so far this season.
Easily. This is for all of the complaints about how quote unquote bad this wide receiver room is. This is the only game that I feel like validates.
I mean, this was, now, mind you, it's adding a little bit of context. Omari Kelly drops that pass, and it's just a play you have to make because you're a receiver. This guy, that was his 6th target on the year.
Yeah.
He's been thrown at only 6 times this year. So, Auburn is bottom of the conference in terms of starting quarterbacks that are currently playing with pass attempts. So obviously targets are going to be limited for those guys. They don't have a receiver in the top 25 in the SEC in targets. And every time a pass is dropped, it feels more egregious because there are just not that many attempts. We're not seeing a ton of them. Malik, if you watched LSU versus Bama last night, guys, Malik Neighbors had himself a game. He dropped 2 really easy balls.
Malik Neighbors has been dropping passes. I actually had this conversation with somebody, and this is something that Mike and I talked about a little bit before we got on. And I don't want to go too deep into the,
Sure.
wide receiver tunnel, but like, to your point, it looks more egregious when you're not going to get all the opportunities.
Yeah, I get like 12 or
Right.
13 targets a
People
game.
forget how often Malik Neighbors drops the football because he makes the plays on the other side that are like, wow. And he he doesn't really make a lot of wow plays, if we're being honest. Like, I think Thomas is actually the better receiver of that wide receiver tandem. Malik Neighbors makes a lot of routine plays, and he has a physical ability to turn those routine plays into big catches or big gains after the catch. But he drops passes fairly often. Fairly often. Please go look it up and look at how many drops Neighbors has on the year. But again, way more targets and way more receptions because he's getting more opportunities. So it's not magnified in the same way. But yeah, the wide receivers, again, not a good game. Having said all that, you have to kind of adopt the mindset of, if I'm not going to get a lot of opportunities, I have to make the most out of each one of them that I get. And they didn't do that yesterday.
Right. To further your point, like, Neighbors leads the SEC in targets at 97. Auburn's leading receiver, which is in targets, which is Jay Fair, has 39 targets on the season, and he is ranked 26th. Also, just again to add a little bit of context for our viewers, in terms of drops so far, Pro Football Focus has 4 drops recorded for Malik Neighbors. But I think you can argue there are probably more that were borderline. He had 2 really bad ones yesterday, and you just forget about him. It's not something you're like, oh, he should have caught that, and then you move on mentally to the next play. Not so in this offense. So B-. That's why I'm at a B- here.
Yeah. I agree. B- was going to be my score for them as well. I actually was tilting towards C+, but I feel like, because I feel like Peyton Thorne played so well, like I said, it hurts me because that pick was so bad. It was so bad. It was like so bad. So it's like, man, he did really well. Jarquez Hunter did really well, right? And he really pulls the overall offensive score up. I think the offensive line did fairly well for the most part. The holding penalty on Dylan Wade was a little disappointing considering the situation. The blocking by, again, tight ends and receiver unit wasn't really great. For the vast majority of this game, every time we threw an outside screen, it was just getting destroyed. So I was like, the receivers, of course, the drops were it was a bit much for me. A lot. They did really great after the catch, though, right? Like, when they did catch the ball, they did a great job turning upfield, getting additional yardage, right? Like, Cam Brown probably had one of his better games of the season this game. But it was so uneven. That's why I'm trying not to be like right there in the middle and say C, because it feels like the stuff that was bad was so bad and the stuff that was good was so good. Right. And so it's like, it's different. You know what? C, it's a C+, man. C+.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What do you say, B?
I'm stuck between C+ and B- with you. Well, what's between those? I know there's nothing between those, but y'all make something up, and that's where I'm at. Whatever's between a B- and a C+, for all the reasons we already said, we don't have any room for error. I've seen offenses, whether it's college or pro.
Yeah, right. It's a BNC. BC, before catch.
I've seen offenses where you could like, oh man, we got a holding call. It's 1st and 15, and then if the quarterback and the offense is good, they just get it all in the next play. It's like, it don't matter. Okay, 1st and 15, 2nd and 8, first down. We are just unrealistically, everything has to go according to plan. Were we supposed to get 5 yards on this little out? Cool, you better get that 5. If somebody doesn't block and you end up getting 3 because, well, now we're not behind the chains yet, but we are, because we end up not getting the yardage on the next play, whether it's a holding call, whether it's a drop, whether it's a missed block, a bad throw, whatever it is. If it's gonna go not work on one, I'm talking one play out of 3 to get a first down, then we're cooked. And the only relief really is that Vandy was bad enough to give up more than we usually get. This was the worst opponent on our Power 5 schedule, and we talked about how it would be worrisome if we didn't get 30, but we got 31. Like we just got to not awful. We just crossed the threshold for not awful. Peyton Thorne played the best.
You're helping me feel better about my C grade right now. Actually,
I mean, I'm with you on this C grade because Peyton Thorne played the best game I've seen him play in an Auburn uniform, and he threw a pick 6 and pretty much airmailed one in. The guy just dropped the interception in the end zone. The best play we've seen this 2+ year starter make was when he gave the other team 7 points and tried to give away 3 of our points. Possibly gave away 4 because if we could have got a touchdown on that drive for the red zone. That's not good. And if I'm going to take Hugh Freeze and staff at their word, and this is the best option for our offense, what they want to run, we've celebrating a game where we dropped at least 1 easy touchdown, Omari Kelly, dropped 4 more passes, threw a pick 6, another potential INT, had holding calls erased even more yardage for our all-world running back. And we're like, great, we finally look all right. Like, that's not good.
Mm-hmm.
This is not good.
Hey, that's why I say it's average, man. Listen,
all
of that, and we
still
did amazing things, though, right? So it's not like I'm not celebrating us being average. I'm acknowledging the average nature of it.
Yeah. Coaching.
You know what? I actually don't have any issue with anything we did from a coaching standpoint in this game. There's no head scratching coaching decisions I can look back at during this game and say, yo, what was that? I don't feel like they took their foot off the gas in the second half. I didn't have any issue with the game plan of what we were doing offensively. The defensive game plan was stellar. I don't have any issue with the way, other than them deciding for whatever reason to go to the backups randomly, I guess because they thought the game was in hand. That's the only thing where I was like, okay, we can put these guys in and get them some burn. I don't have any issues with what the coaches did during this game. For the first time this season, I'm giving the coaches an A.
Oh, an A?
Yes, I'm giving the coaches an A.
Yeah, I don't think we were not sound in any game plan. A decision to use Cam Riley as a pass rusher more than the linebacker has paid off the last couple of games. I think that's a welcome change. I'm with you. We didn't see anything that said, why did you do that? Like I saw people questioning, well, why did they call that short pass down there so close to the end zone? Because Peyton Thorne is an adult and you make decisions with the ball. Yeah, that's not on the coaches. Like, players execute the play.
That was not a bad play call. In that scenario, the options were run it and hope you get a long run and end up punting out of the shadow of your end zone again, or throw the ball and try to get a first down, and it's an incomplete pass because you hope that your quarterback doesn't throw a pick.
Yeah, I feel you. Like, I mean, do you think that was the first read on that play?
No, it was like his third read. Not even. He held the ball, went to an initial read, went to a second read, and then didn't check it. He just knew, I got a check down right here, and then turned and threw it without really even looking at it.
Yeah,
that was not his first read on that play.
Kind of underscores why Hugh Freeze was talking about in the last game. He wasn't going to be aggressive, right? Yes. And risk a game up 2 scores, deep in your own territory, because stuff like that can happen if the player makes the wrong play, regardless of the call. I'm actually going to go with A on this one. Listen, Ron Roberts gets an A+ in my book.
Yeah, Matt, listen, Ron Roberts did all the stuff that I thought that should do. They did a lot of twist stunts up front to try to disrupt what that Vandy was trying to do on the ground, defensively on the back end. They were changing the picture a lot. That's why Ken Seals was so hesitant a lot of times. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ron Roberts, A in my book. I loved the run pass balance in this one. 27 passes to 37 runs, I think, is about where this team needs to live. As long as the volume is north of 65 plays a game or 60 plays a game, right? I think they ran 64 in this one. So give me that all day, every day. And Gus used to have a target of like 70 to 90 plays a game or something crazy like that. Like, I mean, they wanted to make sure that they got enough opportunities to do what they were trying to do, understanding that some drives might stall. I think he did a good job creating opportunities for the offense to go out there and find something. And the game was never in doubt in my mind.
Right.
Never felt like Auburn was going to lose this game. Vanderbilt just did not have it. So that being said, I think it was one of the first games where I didn't think, why did they do that?
Right.
You know, no quarterback switching, no crazy quarterback switching. No nutsy calls. Players did enough to keep the coaches out of positions where they were having to make some crazy call. I'm still not sure I know what this Philip Montgomery, Hugh Freeze offense is.
Yeah.
I'm still not sure that this team has an identity, and I'm not sure that you can really establish one between now and the end of the season with the games that they have left. But like I said, I'll definitely give it an A. Look, speaking of A's, somebody else is about to get an A with a mug. Ike, let's get this drawing rolling. Hashtag get your weight up in your comments. This is your last chance. Ike will not wait on you.
You're right about that.
Single second. So hashtag get your weight up in the comments to make sure you get in there. I'm going to keep talking for a few seconds, and it's not going to stop them.
Nope.
Just going to roll anyway. Is Lisa going to win today?
Y'all know what the business is. We ain't got time for all that nonsense, man. Let's get straight to it.
Jonathan Boyson.
Jonathan Boyson feels like a winner before, but, maybe he doesn't have a mug.
Hey, Jonathan, if you're in the comments, say what's up so that we can award you your mug, Jonathan Boyson. If not, we'll draw again before the end of the live stream. Guys, it's that time. It's that time.
What did we see?
What did we see? One of our favorite segments here at the War Report, where we talk about what we saw around college football in week 10. This was week 10 of the college football season. I'm going to go first here.
Okay.
I'm not going to go first. I'm going to go first.
Well, all right. I guess so.
my thing didn't save.
Okay. All right. Well, that means I'm going first. I'm cool with that. Billy.
Oh.
I had faith in you, Billy. I did. I had faith in you. Now listen. Your team played okay. But I don't know what to say about this Florida team. You guys, for us to be so Jekyll and Hyde as we've been this season, Florida's been worse, in my opinion, as far as like being really bad and then being decent. Like, I don't think that they've been good in any game, but I don't know how the team that beat Tennessee just lost to Arkansas. That doesn't compute in my brain. It just doesn't. I don't know how the team that got pummeled by Kentucky beat Tennessee. Like, I just don't. Florida makes no sense. They make absolutely no sense. And that offense is as unimaginative as it could possibly be. Like, I'm confused as to what is happening right now. Maybe I need to go talk with KB. Maybe KB can tell me what's going on with Florida. Because I don't know. I don't have the first, because there's no reason they should have lost this game. Y'all, I get it. Auburn fans are worried because Auburn hasn't looked good and we're going to travel to be. Arkansas's not good. They're not a good football team. And there's no reason Florida should have lost this game at home. At home. Versus a bad Arkansas team that has half of an offensive coordinator. There's no reason for that, Billy. It's just not, man. I can't. Listen, bro. Listen, bro. We got to do better than this at home versus bad teams.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like I watched the vast majority of that game. They had a chance to win the game in regulation, miss a field goal. I was like, are we really doing this? Now, they did get the benefit of some crazy calls. So I'm actually, after watching the game, I'm actually glad that Arkansas won because they almost got screwed a couple of times on a couple of calls in that game. But it's not looking good right now in Gainesville. They got a lot of work to do to beat. And I think it's worse because they don't have the excuse that Auburn fans want to keep parroting, which is talent. Florida's got plenty of talent all over that team, and they are still mediocre. They are the definition of mediocre this season, and it's pretty. I would be frustrated if I was a Gator fan. Y'all deserve better. Billy, y'all got to get it together, man.
Oh, Billy. Oh, Billy.
Little ass stadium.
Little ass stadium.
That's been good. All the way down since then.
That's good. That's good. I already know. Look, I watched Alabama and LSU last night. And I don't hear nothing from Bama fans about not getting calls.
What? Bama fans got the Bama got the benefit of calls?
I
wish somebody would have foreseen that.
Felonies were committed last night on the football field.
Yeah, that was pretty egregious.
Twice they tried to kill Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
First, with a horse collar that was obvious. They got him by the neck, and they tried to literally kill him. But he got back up because you can't kill Superman, baby. He got up. And then somehow later in the game, they found some kryptonite.
Found some kryptonite, my boy.
And they got after him. And somehow it was only a roughing the passer. This blows my mind. I posted the video on Twitter, guys. Auburn, somewhere Smoke Monday is like, if they're going to call me, they better call you. Like, what was that? I have seen less. We saw Zacoby McClain get kicked out of a game for going shoulder to shoulder with a guy. And this dude stayed in the game. At least they called the roughing the passer, but they didn't even review it for targeting. They didn't even review it for targeting. It should have been out of the game, and there was a face mask on that play. They didn't call any of it. Now, look. These calls weren't the reason that LSU lost. Their defense is horrible. They let Jalen Milroe do way too much in this game. And when Auburn plays Bama, I'm not saying Auburn's going to win, but I'm saying we're not going to let him do that. Rob Roberts is going to scheme something up for him. But I digress. Look, guys. Bama is full of cheaters. They cheated on their SATs. They cheat on their tests weekly. And they cheat on the football field. And if we're going to play football like this, you might as well just put a Bama cap on the referees and hand them the dub at the beginning of the game. Because if there was any chance that we were going to see an epic comeback, they robbed us of that. By saying it is okay to hit the best player on the field. They tried to ruin Jaden Daniels' Heisman campaign, and he's still the front runner in my book. Almost 400 yards of offense before they knocked him out. And 3 TDs. Come on, man. I know they've got 3 losses, but he should still be the front runner in my book. This is a ridiculous season for him. I hope that young man comes back despite the hit that the Bama defense put out on him. They knew they had to stop him to win this game. And for 3 quarters, he was unstoppable until they cheated. Cheaters.
So I didn't watch this game, but I have a question about it. Why did Jaden Daniels go back in the game?
Oh, that was Ike. This was, he went out for a play, and everybody had this question. They were like, wait, he clearly should have been in concussion protocol.
Right.
So for him to go back in the game, you would have to have cleared him from concussion protocol.
Yeah, after one play.
there will be some questions for the SEC, I'm sure, about what happened there. Because after they pulled him out of the game the second time, he went into a tent and he didn't come out.
Came back. Yeah.
He never came out of the tent for the rest of the game. Poor Nussmeier got thrown into the to the Wolves. And as soon as I saw him throw 2 passes, I was like, "Yeah, this isn't happening. He's not."
Yeah, I don't understand. After watching your player get hit like that, why you would not put him into the concussion protocol?
Because you want to win that bad. Because you want to win that bad.
Can we have a conversation about Brian Kelly again? Can we have this conversation?
He killing people,
bro. Like I don't understand.
Cameramen, man. Players, trainers, nobody's safe from this guy, man. Nobody's safe from him. But the officiating in that game was garbage, man. It was garbage. And I think that we deserved better. As fans, we deserved better because that was shaping up to be one of the most epic games of the season. They ruined it. They ruined it because they let Bama do what they want. Whatever.
All right. B will talk to him.
Oh, I forgot. What did I say? Yes. Oh, Lincoln Riley. Come on down. Come on down. I'm pretty sure he had been scouting out the USC job while he was at Oklahoma. He was probably mailing it in. Clay Helton got fired, I think, mid-season of that season. So he knew that job. He was on the phone making them calls. I'm pretty sure Lincoln Riley knows there's nowhere to run in college football because you get to USC, they start spending the money you want to spend. You get a guy to win a Heisman, and you come back the next season and lose, 3 out of 4? Same guy. You had a Biletnikoff winner in your pocket. You got a outstanding 5-star wide receiver. You paid one of Georgia's best defensive linemen to come and be on your defensive line. And the bad defense just follows you around like the evil spirit. It just loves you, Lincoln Riley. Bad spirit is bad defense is just what you do. It's who you are. So here you are. Now your quarterback is sad, emotional. And as a side note, there's nothing wrong with the player showing emotion because they are losing. Okay. I saw a lot of people criticizing Caleb Williams because he was crying in his mom's arms after the loss. There's nothing wrong with players being emotional after losing. They invest way more in this than we do. We invest our time and money to watch. Their entire lives are invested in football. And when it doesn't go their way, they absolutely deserve to be just as emotional as anybody could be about anything. I wish it was I wish other players were allowed to feel that way as well, because there are some players on some teams that win 2 games a year that put just as much into football as Caleb Williams does. And they wouldn't be allowed to cry on the sideline that way, or they'd be told to man up. So it's a bit of a double standard there. But let's go back to Lincoln Riley. Buddy, where you going to run to now, man? I hope nobody going to fall for this in the NFL. Y'all remember when somebody was like, well, the Cleveland Browns are seriously giving Gus Malzahn a look as OC. Like, y'all are idiots. If y'all want to come get Gus Malzahn because he had beat Bama a couple times? Okay. Y'all are stupid. Somebody did this for, what's his name? Cliff Kingsbury? Putting up all these numbers, right? Texas Tech. Oh, but the numbers, NFL, terrible. I saw somebody in my mentions calling Caleb Williams. Say, hey, the question should still be out. Does he have that dog in him? Yes or no? I think no. Okay. But I don't think it's necessarily a Caleb Williams thing. I think Lincoln Riley's offensive system just makes QBs look better than they really are. This is what it is. This is why under pressure, under lining up against a defense that can actually man up against you, every year he had a Heisman winner at Oklahoma, he also got manned up and beaten by a team who wasn't as talented on defense as Oklahoma was on offense. Every year. Similarly, Gus could line up against teams that he was better than or that we were better than and look all world. Put him in front of a team that's just prepared and disciplined, and we can't beat Minnesota? What? This is Lincoln Riley's offense. It's on a different scale because it's based on passing, and the numbers, when it looks good, it looks great. Lincoln Riley is a one-trick pony, and the other trick on the other side of that coin is bad defense. Who is going to fall for this? I don't know who's going to fall for it. He's got to be making some calls, though. You know he's trying to weasel out. You can't lose. You can't come back a second year with a returning Heisman winner with an emphasis and people at your throat about how bad your defense has been and just, oh, all right, it's okay. No, buddy, they spending how much? What, $10 million a year on Lincoln Riley? to lose with a Heisman winner, it's not just his fault. It's partially the media's fault for falling in love with high-flying numbers and Heisman winners. The media just loves to give people awards based on numbers. And I really wish we could look similar to what Mike was saying. Jay Daniels is the best player in the nation, and it's not necessarily close. Michael Penix is a good quarterback, but he doesn't do for his team what Jaden Daniels does for that LSU team.
That's a fact.
Jaden Daniels is running and passing. He's elite in all aspects. He is the entirety of that offense. Gus, what's his name? Nussmeier went in. Might as well have put Peyton Thorne in there, but it was over.
Yeah.
It was over. So, all that to say, I hope I hope that some of these rose-colored glasses that everybody seemed to have had for Lincoln Riley is wearing off a little bit. It seems like maybe it started to show early this season when he was getting that criticism from the media. He started banning a media member from coming because he was asking them tough questions in the press. Lincoln Riley is a little sensitive. You can be criticized. You having Heisman winners doesn't mean you're beyond reproach. You being at USC and them paying for your LA home and paying for your contract and all this stuff doesn't mean that you got it all together. And obviously, these beat writers were correct. Something shaky there, man. Shaky. I'm glad to see it all fall apart for him, though, because he's been a fraud for a while. I'm really happy to see that. I've been enjoying this season. Thank you. Thank you, Riley. Thank you.
Fraud. He's a fraud.
He's
so
a fraud.
says B Will. Let's get to some comments here before we get out of here today. Don Cullen says, yeah, the receivers weren't helping out the QB for sure. I think we can all agree with that yesterday. Yeah. Our guy Greg Wheatley comes in and says, Ron Roberts has done a great job, but to me, the jury's still out on Freeze. Just my opinion. Well, if you like Ron Roberts, you got to give the guy who hired him some credit, I think. Maybe. Mm-hmm. Right? So, you're muted, Ike.
Yeah, I was going to say I think it's a little early for the jury to still be out on a first-year head coach.
Yeah.
Sure. But, I mean, I guess it's fair if you're saying I'm reserving my judgment until I see more. I think that's fair.
Yeah, for sure. Anthony Grant says, I'm sorry, man, but Connor Lew is going to be the real deal. You have to be sorry about that.
I was about to say, why are you apologizing for that?
I'm sorry, man, but
we're happy. We're happy about it.
Here's a compliment. I'm sorry for this compliment. Connor All says, yeah, getting in was the worst thing ever. Terrible. Not sure what this is about.
Yeah, but say Connor, context that probably made a bunch of sense.
Yeah, right. Come back, Connor. Talk to us. Anthony Grant said the second muff punt was on the ground for 3 days and we still didn't get it. Yeah, it felt that long. It did feel that long. Todd Jordan says Auburn as a team gets way too few calls from the Zebras.
I agree. We don't get most of the big plays that happened in the last 3 games, particularly the Ole Miss game. But you can go back to LSU for face masks that weren't called. Happened in the Ole Miss game, face mask, holding penalties that weren't called. Even in the Mississippi State game, face mask, holding penalties that weren't called. I am so unsure of why referees are unable to see that blue face mask getting at. Do we need to go to white face mask all the time so it's more clear when somebody's glove is? I don't understand how infrequent we get face mask calls, yet we get face masks so frequently. It's crazy.
It's nuts. Cleveland Brown says, is Marcus Davis' seat catching fire after Vandy?
I don't know how you can put receivers dropping a pass on the wide receiver coach. Like, he can't catch it for them. And all he can do is rotate another guy in there and say, all right, you're dropping it too much. Let me put somebody else in there. But I would not fire the wide receiver coach because the guys that are in the game, who are, by the way, some of the better receivers on the team, particularly in this one, when you're talking about VAR and Fairweather, who had the most drops, are dropping the ball. It's not on. I mean, number one, Fairweather's not even in his room. But yeah, I don't. If his seat is warm for that, then that's not very fair to him, in my opinion.
Yeah. Blackwing comes in. Appreciate the super chat. B Will, you letting Jimbo off the hook?
I was actually pleasantly surprised by how close they made that game. So, I mean, they're a mediocre team. He's a mediocre coach. I think it's been established. I was writing his coaching eulogy by end of September. So, everything now is just a formality. It's just a formality. They got at least 2 more L's on the schedule. And It's gonna be fun. We'll have some fun at the end of the season. We'll have some fun.
This is what Connor Hall meant. Getting into the stadium was the worst thing ever. No one knew where to go or how to get in. He is correct. It's crazy. It was crazy, dog. Like, it was the most confusing, contorted situation in the world.
Cleveland Brown comes back and says the only thing more annoying than Auburn's mistakes were the mosquitoes lingering on the Vandy side. Cold temps early in the week didn't kill them all. Was there some moisture somewhere around there? They were breeding mosquitoes.
Site, so
yep. All right. Well, mosquitoes are bad. I can agree. High Power TV says Bama fan here, longtime subscriber. I don't say anything, just lurk and see how the team is panning out. You guys do great breakdowns, like your channel. Look,
thank you, sir.
He probably sent this before you went and told it.
Yeah, it was before. My bad. Continue to subscribe, please. Yeah. Oh,
that's hilarious, bro.
Astute observation there. We appreciate you, High Power TV, for watching. We don't always agree, but we do love each other. Yo, Malcolm says Thorne is the guy for the rest of the season. We're going into our 10th game. I agree. I think that they stick with Thorne moving forward. New Tiger 3 says if Robbie leaves and goes P5, he'd have to sit out a year, correct? Not if he graduates.
Not if he graduates, yeah.
Right. Which I believe he's on track to do this summer. Still, I think it's tough, man, going to another Power 5 school after the summer. But we'll see. He's got some decisions he's got to make, guys, similarly to what TJ did, right?
Yeah.
You're running out of time, chances at the P5 level. I don't think that TJ did himself any disservice by going to Texas State and getting some tape. Man, he's got more yards passing than Auburn has total offense on the season. So put something on tape at some point. We hope that everybody who leaves here gets an opportunity somewhere. Corey Weber comes in and says, should we start calling Cobb the touchdown maker?
Keeps up.
I mean, I think we can come up with a better thing than that. But, he's definitely scoring a lot of touchdowns when he's getting his opportunity in these 2 touchdowns in the last 2 games. So, yeah, good job for him.
Brad Browning says, hey, I haven't heard y'all talk about losing some of the commitments AU has lost the last few weeks. We'll be dealing with this here the next couple of weeks as we get a little closer to early signing day. So stay tuned. We're going to bring Caleb Jones in from auburnsports.com to talk about what's happening in recruiting. Certainly there have been, I think, some concerning decommitments, maybe a little bit too much panic. But ultimately, this class is shaping out a little differently here coming toward the end. So we'll definitely cover that. Last but certainly not least, Jonathan Boyson says, I'm here, guys. Jonathan, you know what to do, man. Business at the War Report. Business at the War Report so that you can claim your mug. We appreciate you. This is brought to you by GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. Congratulations. Email us again and make sure we get your address so we can get that right out to you. That's it, guys, for another great weekend tailgate. Ike, you want to tell people what they can do before we get out of here?
Absolutely. You guys need to join the channel before you leave. We have a lot of great film review. Another film review where I don't have to be mad the entire time. I'm going to be mad a little bit, but I don't have to be mad the entire time. So looking forward to breaking down that film with you guys. You can gift a membership if you are already a member. Somebody can get the benefit of 1 month of free membership on you. Make sure you check out the network. The Auburn Express is where we are podcasting. The Up-Tempo podcast is out there. College Loop. Up-Tempo podcast had the opportunity to go watch Auburn baseball, so they're going to have some breakdowns for that coming up. If you're into Auburn baseball, definitely want to check out the Up-Tempo guys. If you didn't get an opportunity to win something today, head to the website, which is thewarreport.com. And you can purchase some merch out there. And that's another great way to support the channel. Big other shout out to our show sponsor, Golden's Cast Iron. Head to goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code Get Your Weight Up, 15% off of weights. Code TWR gets you $65 off of fire pits and Kamado grills. More Fireside with the War Report coming up very soon.
Yeah.
So thank you to Golden's for continuing to support that.
We appreciate Golden's Cast Iron for sponsoring the segment. As always, share this video using @TheWarReport and hashtag Get Your Weight Up on social media. Like this video and subscribe to the YouTube channel to help us in the algorithm so that we can continue to grow our community. We have the greatest Auburn community that is @The War Report on Twitter and Instagram, TW Report on TikTok. Guys, we'll be back at you tomorrow with the morning drop for Metric Mondays. We're signing off as always. War Eagle.
War Eagle.